So as you can see, it is a little bit all over the place, and this is how I work. I've always liked to work like this. The question you might ask, do you make a living as an artist? And the answer is hello everybody. I thought it would be great if I could show you around. This is my studio right after it has been prepared for show in the annual open studios we have here in the building. My art is ranging from 3D to 2D, time-based, whatever you can think of, because I'm coming from the place of adjusting medium to my ideas rather than the other way around. This is what makes my art fairly inconsistent when it comes to the security of displaying and selling my art in a gallery. So, for example, here we have some of my most recent meditative graphite drawings that I've been working on last year. They are mostly process oriented, which means I was not really looking for a particular outcome. I was just in the moment of rubbing the pencil lead against the paper just to see what will come out of it. And as the shapes were appearing on the paper, I would let them happen as if I was not the entity that makes it happen, but the pencil and the irregularities of the paper themselves dictate what should be transpiring on these pieces of paper. And as I was seeing shapes and spaces, I would just let them appear by increasing contrast, so darkening certain areas. And there were no erasers involved in this, purely pencil against paper. This one is a little bit more expressive. I used some soft wire to make the lines and then rubbed the soft graphite against the paper. I guess you call it frottage. There's some three-dimensional objects, control tower, and a little bit more mix of projects, some older, some newer. Here we have from this end some prints. This one is not really made by me, in the sense that I did not create the image. It was created by an insect, a wood beetle. So when you pull the bark, sometimes you can see these quite intricate, impressive patterns that a wood beetle created by just eating away sugar from the tissue of the wood, and just kind of walking along and eating, never knowing what sort of shape it created. So it's sort of sad that it cannot pull the bark and see its masterpiece. That's what I was for, and I just sort of cropped a particular fragment of this pattern that resembled some sort of Japanese volcano, and also this whole thing resembles a Japanese woodcut, don't you think? It's sort of reminiscent of that. And as I will probably say it over and over throughout the existence of this channel, nature does the best art, or the art makes itself. This print is a woodcut. It's maybe it was a lino cut. I'm not sure. This is called Young Scientist, and I just realized that I forgot to hook up the microphone. So from now on, the audio will be a little bit better. All right, how is that? So if the audio doesn't work, then the video will be silent and I will do a voiceover. So this is Young Scientist, inspired by a lecture I went to. I went to some sort of science lecture, and there was a young scientist in front of me sitting in the audience, and I really liked how her glasses would pretty much create a minimized image of the room, of the space in front of her, and just sort of made me think about how scientists look at the world, or not scientists, humans in general, because we're all scientists in some way. And there's some more splotchy, abstract ink drawings, a little bit more cave-inspired art, an animal. Up here we have some experiments with cyanotype as a medium for just direct exposure. Light exposure. I built these cameras specifically for that. I wanted to use cyanotype, very easy, non-toxic, photosensitive material, to create direct exposure, meaning the light goes through the lens, and the cyanotype is made not through direct contact of an object with the paper, but rather through a camera obscura effect, the light directly shining on the paper. And this is what I came up with. The exposure was very long, and it was very bright, snowy February day, and it's still pretty dark, as you can see. So these are positives. So naturally the white areas became black, while the blue areas became orangey, and it just kind of creates this very eerie appearance, ghostly. Also the time lapse is included in this. So if it was exposed for, say, 6 hours, then you could have you can actually see here a little bit of how the light traveled throughout the day. Here, down here, we're going to move on to. So I'm aware that this selection may give you a whiplash. This has been my struggle with my viewers, with galleries, potential curators and buyers, who would always tell me that they just feel very confused by the scope of different techniques, different ideas that I'm using. This is sort of R-rated. I call this one Icarus, and I just kind of imagine the moment when, in the myth, Icarus and Daedalus were freed themselves with their own ingenuity, and how it must have felt, even though the Icarus's journey to freedom was cut short. I still feel like it counts. And also I have to put to question the idea of coming closer to the sun, which melted the wax. It should be the other way around. The higher we go into the troposphere, the cooler it gets, right? So the wax should be frozen solid rather than melted. So I would call for a new investigation into the myth of Icarus. We have some fun little puzzle-like line drawings, inspired by what I did with wires earlier. So like one continuous wire that became a line. It wasn't actually done with wire, it was just drawn. And this is the monotype technique that I might describe later. And And there's this sort of play with negative, positive line and continuity and nested realities. This one also, I call this one a thick skull, and I think this one is called mind body. I did some stuff with wire and coffee filters here, a little model cars. This one is called Anthropocene. It's about humans. We keep going to the left. This wallpaper is based on a design I made too. This is a little headless human, also related to the series Anthropocene, about how we are running into oblivion. And the wire drawings I mentioned before, actually was a wire that I sort of superimposed, and it created this dynamic figures, or one figure in sequence, and some woodcut. Whoop, glare. This one is called Folded. And here we have more dancing figures created with wire. Oh, my finger. And then we have some wire and coffee filter, three-dimensional objects. Poem, hidden. So I do poems too. There's another channel devoted to words. You can check it out if you would like. And a little bit more nested figures. This one is called Inverted. This one is called This one is called Thin-Skinned. And here we have a version of a figure that is sort of part of something and yet separate from it. And then here also, this one, the title of this one is I Might Be Hollow, but I Got Layers. There's still one continuous line that kind of turns and flips on itself. I really enjoyed doing these lately. Another one here, a little bit more layers, still one continuous line, and a Bearman. A little bit about how we create shields or costumes for ourselves, or masks that become our shields, and we sort of hide behind them. That project here used to be working. It's a kinetic sculpture. The train is powered by electricity, and the wheel is also connected to the circuit and makes the train go. But the train has been going for about 10 years and decided to retire, I think. I might fix it at some point. So there's some sculptures, like weird little objects that I had fun with. So as you can see, it is a little bit all over the place, and this is how I work. I've always liked to work like this. The question you might ask, do you make a living as an artist? And the answer is a hard no. I might sell a piece once or twice during the open studios, like this one is a piece that I replaced the sold one with. But I just think that we create measures for success which are sort of superficial, especially when it comes to art. Our objective is to either be noticed and featured by a curator or gallery. Maybe another measure is selling your artwork, and then if you don't succeed at that, then you start feeling like a failure. But it's a little bit more complicated than that. The same goes for the gallery representation or receiving grants. The fact that you have been rejected, or your proposal has been rejected, might have nothing to do with the quality of your art, because let's face it, art is subjective. the most important part is, am I enjoying what I'm doing? And then sadly, most artists quit their practice after these 2 or 3 elements fail. So it's kind of superficial elements, which is, can I sell my art? Can I make a living out of it? Can I at least have some prestige through gallery representation? Or can I receive a grant of some kind, validation from the outside? So external validation isn't important, but focusing too much on that, on external validation, creates a distortion in the balance. So if you really enjoy doing something, enjoy making art, as much as you enjoy, say, fish keeping, aquariums, or model trains, skiing, collecting stamps, why would you quit art after you've realized that you have failed at certain very narrow sort of objectives, which is, just turn the light on here, sorry, which is selling your art or being shown by a gallery? Why can't art be enjoyable? Why can't it be just like stamp collecting or anything, or walking, or whatever else you enjoy doing? So it might be frustrating to sort of abandon this idea of make it or break it, or go big or go home, but I think there's more to art than just these very narrow objectives. If you enjoy it, you will just keep making it. And the idea that there is a certain external entity that has to accept your art, and only you place your pretty much existence as an artist upon this very shaky ground, it's very sad to let go based on just that. So I haven't had my art shown in a gallery in many years. I used to do more shows when I was younger, and I thought I would be, of course, as any young artist, I thought I would be discovered and I would be famous, I would be awesome, and I would have a lot of viewers and likes and so on. But I ended up making stuff for myself and my spouse and my cat, who sadly passed away recently. But I keep going, and as soon as I have an idea in mind or something I want to express or share, I just pour it onto the paper or in some other medium. Lately I have been focusing more on two-dimensional artwork. It's easier to store. And also there was another sort of breakthrough I had based on sustainability. I want my art to be non-toxic. I do not want to wash brushes covered with toxic paint in a sink. I have some ways to deal with that, which I might show you at some point. But other than that, I want to leave a mark in a way that's not destructive. I want to leave a positive mark on the world. This one is called America as a Whole, HOLE. It's made in the form of a necklace. This one is a little bit more as a display. There's some little nature-inspired things, pencils. Whoops. Yeah, so I will focus a little bit more on singular projects in the future. So I will show you some solutions, some techniques, maybe a little bit of a time lapse of creating a drawing. Who knows, the channel will live the way it wants to, it will develop, and I will just follow it. So for now, that's all I wanted to leave you with, and I hope you have a great time, and don't forget to not worry about little small things like selling or gallery representation. Just enjoy your art.